Whitney Lauren Purvis never imagined that the cameras that first captured her life at 16 would still echo through a public that once cheered, sometimes judged, and now watches in disbelief. Her recent arrest in May 2025, on charges of involuntary manslaughter, possession of fentanyl with intent to distribute, and reckless conduct, has turned a one-time reality TV footnote into the headline of a cautionary tale. Yet the story of how she arrived here is far more complicated than any viral snippet. It is the story of a bright Georgia teenager thrust into early motherhood on MTV's 16 and Pregnant. The story of broken relationships, brief flashes of hope, and mounting cycles of poverty, addiction, and grief. It is a story of a generation that treats notoriety as currency and discovers how quickly that currency can run out. Whitney was born on December 3, 1992, in Rome, Georgia, a quiet city of cotton mills, football games, and church picnics. Her childhood was not one of privilege. Her mother, Michelle Purvis, struggled to keep steady work, and Whitney bounced between relatives' houses more often than she cared to count. School was both refuge and stress. She loved art and English, hated math, and wrestled with attention span issues that never received a formal diagnosis. By 11, she was helping raise younger siblings while her mother worked double shifts. She learned resilience early, but she also learned to equate love with scarcity. Everything could disappear tomorrow, so hold tight to what you have today. She met Weston Gosa Jr. in 8th grade science class, bonding over skateboard videos and rap CDs they swapped when teachers weren't watching. Weston was lanky, charming, and directionless, an amateur motocross rider with as many detentions as jokes. Their bond felt electric to Whitney, who had never been anyone's first priority. By sophomore year, they were inseparable. They skipped classes to smoke near the Coosa River, dreaming of escaping Rome for Atlanta or maybe California, where Weston's cousin repaired custom bikes. They imagined a life of concerts, tattoos, and ocean waves. No one imagined a baby stroller. But in October 2008, at the age of 15, Whitney discovered she was pregnant. Weston, only a year older, panicked but promised to stand by her. When her mother found the positive test hidden in a notebook, she wept with equal parts anger and despair. At first, Whitney considered adoption, but the idea of giving up her child felt like ripping away the one unconditional love she had yet to know. She decided to keep the baby and finish high school somehow. She had no blueprint, just stubborn faith that love could solve more than money could. MTV arrived as if conjured by fate. Casting staff, hunting for real Southern teens with raw stories, had heard whispers about the pregnant sophomore in Rome. They offered Whitney a slot on the first season of 16 and Pregnant, a reality doc-series chronicling the last months of pregnancy and early motherhood. The production team paid a modest stipend and promised the platform might open doors. Filming began in March 2009. Cameras captured Whitney's morning sickness, late-night fights with Weston over his inability to keep a job, and the tension with her mother, who feared history repeating itself. On July 16, 2009, viewers watched Whitney deliver a 7-pound boy via emergency C-section. They named him Weston Owen Gosa. Millions of teens witnessed the birth, accompanied by Whitney's tears and Weston's shell-shocked expression as he held his son for the first time. For many fans, Whitney's episode stood out. She was soft-spoken, yet strong-willed, and her love for her child felt tender. But the cameras also recorded cracks. Weston missing prenatal classes, failing to pay for diapers, Whitney quitting school temporarily, arguments over bills. MTV left after 6 weeks, but the problems they highlighted never left Whitney's doorstep. Weston drifted between part-time construction and unemployment, smoking weed as stress relief. Whitney tried to finish junior year through online courses, juggling nursing dreams with the reality of colic, rent, and food stamps. They moved in with Weston's parents, then back with Michelle when that arrangement imploded. By 2012, when Whitney was 19, she made national headlines again, but not on MTV. She was arrested for shoplifting a first-response pregnancy test from Walmart. Security footage showed her slipping the test into her purse and heading to the bathroom. She later explained she feared she might be pregnant again, couldn't afford the test, and panicked. The mugshot, big brown eyes glassy with fear, hair pulled into a messy top knot. went viral. Comment sections sneered, "She should have learned the first time." In truth, the test was negative, but the arrest became part of her Google resume. She pled no contest, received a fine and probation, and vowed to get life on track. That same year, she and Weston split for good after he crashed his pickup while driving drunk. Whitney filed for sole custody, claiming Weston's addiction made him an unfit father. She moved into a subsidized apartment, found work as a certified nursing assistant, and enrolled in a community college associate program for phlebotomy. For a brief moment, it looked like she might outrun her past. But trauma has a way of rediscovering you. Over the next 5 years, financial pressure and unstable housing wore her down. She dated a new boyfriend, Luis Gutierrez, who seemed stable until he wasn't. In 2018, both were arrested during a traffic stop when police found methamphetamine and drug paraphernalia in their car. Whitney claimed ignorance, but prosecutors cited text messages referencing drug sales. She accepted a plea deal, time served, rehab enrollment, and 2 years probation. She admitted later that she started using meth to stay awake for work and childcare, and then couldn't stop. Rehab was court-ordered, but she embraced it, completing a 90-day program and remaining sober for over a year, long enough to give birth to her second child, a daughter she named River in February 2020. She tried again. Sobriety meetings, parenting classes, a job at a home health agency. Weston visited sporadically, still drinking, still drifting. The pandemic hit, shuttering daycare and slashing her hours to 15 a week. Bills piled, eviction loomed. By late 2022, she relapsed, using fentanyl-laced pills a friend claimed were hydrocodone. She lost her job, fell behind on probation check-ins, and spiraled into drug circles on the outskirts of Rome. Her mother took custody of River temporarily. Whitney vanished from social media, except occasional posts of song lyrics and photos of her children that seemed to plead for forgiveness. On the night of March 18, 2025, according to police affidavits, Whitney and an acquaintance named Bradley Evans supplied fentanyl pills to a 29-year-old woman, Shelby Hayes, at a rundown motel near Calhoun Highway. Shelby overdosed within minutes. Panicked, Whitney fled before paramedics arrived. Shelby's boyfriend told investigators he'd seen Whitney from MTV hand Shelby the pills. Surveillance confirmed Whitney's presence. 2 months later, a Floyd County grand jury indicted her for involuntary manslaughter, reckless conduct, and intent to distribute a Schedule II narcotic. She was arrested at a friend's trailer in Cartersville on May 28th, her 33rd birthday, and held on $100,000 bond. News outlets resurrected her reality TV pass. 16 and pregnant star charged in fentanyl death. Some headlines dripped with schadenfreude. Others expressed sorrow. Her former co-stars posted messages about the opioid crisis, begging followers to see Whitney as a symptom of systemic failures, not a monster. Weston, sober since 2024, released a statement offering prayers and vowing to care for their now 16-year-old son, who just earned his driver's license. Michelle posted a GoFundMe to cover legal fees, writing, "My daughter is broken but not evil." Whitney's preliminary hearing offered a glimpse into contradictions. The prosecution painted her as a low-level dealer whose negligence killed a young woman. The defense argued she was a longtime addict manipulated by local traffickers and that Shelby purchased the pills voluntarily. Toxicology revealed fentanyl concentrations 5 times lethal. The judge denied bond reduction, citing flight risk. As Whitney awaits trial scheduled for January 2026, her life flashes like fragments. A teenage girl on MTV's 16 and Pregnant, a shoplifting mugshot, probation photos, rehab certificates, a mother kissing her children goodbye through courthouse glass. She is a composite of choices and circumstances, of personal failures and public voyeurism. She symbolizes how quickly early fame can curdle into lifelong scrutiny, how poverty and trauma can coil around hopes, and how addiction remains an equal opportunity destroyer. In jail, sources report she attends Narcotics Anonymous meetings, writes letters to her kids, and sketches drawings of sunsets over the Etowah River. She reportedly keeps a battered copy of The Glass Castle, underlining passages about forgiveness and survival. She told a fellow inmate, They want me to be that girl on TV forever. I don't even know who she was. She also writes to Shelby's mother, though attorneys advise against contact. She says if she could rewind one moment, it would be the night Shelby died. I could have called 911 sooner. Maybe she'd be alive. That is the burden she now carries, and the point the state will press in court. Whatever the verdict, Whitney's narrative asks bigger questions. What happens to reality TV teens after cameras disappear? How do small-town mothers battle an opioid epidemic that claims friends, siblings, lovers? How do we hold individuals accountable while acknowledging the system they inhabit? Whitney Purvis is not a headline to gawk at. She is a mirror reflecting a decade's worth of economic dislocation, broken healthcare, and a society that monetizes young pain. Her children may one day watch that 2009 episode, hear her vow, "I'll do anything for my baby," and wonder how love can coexist with catastrophe. If there is redemption ahead, it will require the same stubborn hope she clung to at 16. She will need resources, therapy, housing, relapse prevention, meaningful work, and a justice system willing to offer both consequences and rehabilitation. As the world moves on to the next scandal, those who grew up with 16 and pregnant may pause in July each year, remembering the pregnant girl from Rome with big brown eyes. They may recall how early adulthood can hinge on one pregnancy test, one bad night, one pill too potent to survive. And they might decide in Whitney's name or Shelby's memory to ask harder questions, to vote for better treatment programs, to keep tabs on the kids who disappear when the credits roll. The trial ahead will be televised, dissected, and likely criticized. Some viewers will root for punishment, others will search for grace. But if Whitney Purvis teaches us anything, it is that stories do not end neatly. They echo through children inheriting both trauma and resilience, through parents who refuse to give up on their daughters, through a society still learning how to balance empathy and accountability. Her fate now lies with 12 jurors, yet her legacy belongs to all of us who tuned in that July night in 2009, unaware that we were watching more than entertainment. We were witnessing the beginning of a journey that, for better or worse, never really left the screen.